Hello everyone, this is Akash here from blenderschool.cf, and in this Blender tutorial I'm going to be continuing to make this forest with a lake scene in Blender. So in the previous part we left off by creating the mountains and the lake. So by the end of the last part it should have something like this. So in this part we'll be adding in the trees and completing the scene. So let's start by adding in the trees. So for the trees we are going to be using the particle system, and for the object I'm going to be providing you with a tree model which you can download from my site. I'll leave a link in the description, and I'm not going to be including how to model this tree because it will make the tutorial too long. But if you want a tutorial on this, on the tree, you can comment below and I'll make a tutorial on that. So come in the second layer by pressing 2 and then come in the file menu, then select append. Then open the tree.blend file, then open object, then main tree, append from library. Now you'll see one box. Now this box is the tree, but it's set to be in the view of bounds, and if you change the view of bounds to be solid or textured, you'll see the original tree model. It's a very high res tree model, and that's why I've set it to be bounds, because if we apply this as the particles, it'll take a lot of memory and it'll make the computer more slower. So make sure you're in the view of bounds now. So come in the first layer now, and let's start by adding in the particles. Select the mountains by right clicking on them. Come in the particles settings tab, click on new to add a new particle system. Change the type to be hair, and check advanced, and in the emit from change uncheck random. Come down, and the main thing you need to change is in the render object, change the dupli object to be main tree. Now you can see that we have the trees. Now you'll see some problems. Some of the trees are inside the lake, while some of the trees are outside the range of the camera. So let's just move all these trees in the range of the camera, and just remove all these trees which are under the water. So to do that, come in the weight painting mode, and now paint the regions where you want the trees to be. So I'm going to be painting over here, leaving a bit of gap over here so that we can see the land, and about here. Also I've edited a bit of this this terrain and everything, just brought the mountains a bit more closer, and also scaled the ocean. Also I've made some of the mountains a bit more slopier, which is gonna help us later. So around about there that should be good. You can also change the weight to be 0 and just paint out a few regions. That should be it. Yeah, that's just fine. Now to see the effect, come down over here, and then in the vertex groups change the density to be group. Now you can see all the trees have moved over here, and there are no trees under the water anymore. So that's nice. Come out of the weight paint and change to be object mode. So now we have the trees. Now let's increase the number of particles. So we are going to be using about 3000 particles, but later on we may increase it. You must experiment with all the other values which we are going to change now. So first is the size. I think 0.06 or 7 works well. Let's try 0.0. Okay, let's use 6 itself, and change the random size to be 0.7 or 6. It's gonna give you some more random size. I think 0.6 should be fine. Yep. Let's use 0.5. Okay, that's fine. Also, one more thing you need to add is the rotation. Change the rotation to be normal, and change this random value to be around 0.6 or 7. This is gonna add more randomness to the forest. You see some of these mountains over here. The trees are like they're not proper. They're like just coming out. Because these mountains are not so slopey. That's why we need to make this mountain over here a bit more slopier. So come in the edit mode, select this vertex by right clicking on it, and make sure that proportional editing is on. You can press O to enable it. Just move the vertex just to add more slopey area, and like this. Also just move it a bit more down. Pretty simple, nothing much. Can make it a bit more higher, but I'll just move around a bit more this vertex. Whoa, that's so I pretty much did that, and that should be okay now. So next thing is let's do a render preview now. And also we don't have the lighting setup, so we are not going to be seeing anything properly. So let's add in the lamp and the lighting. So first let's add in the sky. Now before we added a sky texture in the world, but this is not going to be the original sky. So for the sky I'm going to be using an image which I found on CG textures. You need to activate this add-on, which is the images as planes add-on. So come in the user preferences, type here planes, should have import images as planes add-on, check it to enable it. Now press shift A, mesh images as planes, open the image. You can you'll find the link to download this image in my site. In the material settings, change it to be emission and click on import images as planes. So here is our plane with the image. Scale it by pressing S. Also we're going to rotate it by pressing R, then X, then 90, then enter, and then come in the right view and then just move it just a bit behind these mountains like that. Come in the camera view and yeah, make sure that it's just in the proper size. You can also distort the image because it doesn't matter. This image just basically has clouds and the sun, so if you distort it doesn't matter much. So I think this much is fine now. You can also change it to be texture preview mode to see how it looks. So here's the sun, the clouds, that's fine. I may move it a bit more up, so that's nice. Also one more thing in the tree is it has a texture, which is this bark deciduous texture from CG textures. I couldn't pack the texture and so you need to download it separately and load it in Blender. So in the trunk, click on open in this image texture and open the bark deciduous texture. You can download this one also from my site. It's from CG textures. And once when you have done that, we'll have the proper tree now. Now also we need to increase the size and everything and the number of trees in the forest. Very less trees now. Yeah, and also we didn't add the lamp. So to add the lamp, we're going to be adding in a sun lamp. So press shift A, lamp, sun. Come in the front view and then just position it around about here, because the sun is also over here in the image, so that should be fine. Make sure it's a bit more closer to the plane and press R then X to rotate it so that it positions, it's just pointing in the middle of the scene like that. Around about there, that should be fine. Yeah. Also change the size to be 1 and the strength to be 3. Also you can change the color to be a bit more slightly yellowish so that it looks like the sunlight, and that should be good to go now. And for the particle settings, I'm going to increase the particles to be around about 1500 for now. I'm going to actually separate the mountains now. As you can see, these areas look pretty dense, but those areas are not dense because they are far away from the camera. So we need to separate the mountains so that we can edit those particles separately and these particles separately. So to do that, come in the edit mode by pressing the tab key, then select this vertex by right clicking, this one by right clicking and holding down shift, and this one, and this one, and this one. Then press Ctrl L, then press P, then selection. Now we have separated the particle and the mountains. So click on these mountains and click on 2 in the particle settings and change the number to be around about 6000. I think 6000 works. And size also to be about 0.07. That should be fine. Make it a bit more bigger. And over here now we have a lot of dense forest in these front mountains. So we're going to be changing this number to be around about 1000. It's going to give us pretty dense one. So now we are basically ready, and hopefully we should have some nice scene. So change the render samples to be, I think 200 works best for this scene, but for this tutorial I'm going to be using 170 samples. Also, one more thing is in this sky texture, in this image of the sky, in the emission material there's some problem. The strength is set to be is camera ray light. Just remove it so that the plane casts light in the entire scene. And now hopefully we should have proper scene to be rendered. So now give it a render. So the rendering has finished, and now let's move into the compositor to edit the image now. So change this UV image editor to be the node editor, and open the render layers. Click on check the use nodes checkbox. I'm just gonna add in a viewer node by pressing Ctrl Shift and left clicking on the render layer and checking the backdrop checkbox. I'm just gonna add in a RGB curves node to increase the brightness, because I think the brightness is pretty low. And later on we're gonna also add in a vignette to make the scene look more better. So I think this much is fine. Then let's add in a vignette. So lens distortion node, getting this here, and then a math node. I like the search function, so as I'm using the search function, it's greater than, and then 0, and Shift A, we have the blur, and just push it here. Fast Gaussian, relative X, about 20% should be fine, I hope so. And then finally the mix node, and just connect it here, multiply, and 1. So we should have in a vignette now. Oh yeah, the distort of the lens should be 1. So I think I'll make it a bit more blurry, 30 to 30. Should try and increase the brightness a bit more. Yeah, that's fine now. Also, you can add in one hue saturation value node to just fix up the saturation. I'll be using about 1.1. Just gonna make the sky and the lake a little bit more better. I think it's too bright. That should be fine. Yeah, so this is the final scene which I had lit up, and this is our scene. So I like it, and it looks pretty cool. Only thing is that these areas are not so dense, and in my scene the mountains were a bit more closer, and the lake was smaller in this. Yeah, and you must change and experiment with the values of the particle settings, and hopefully you should have some nice scene. So I hope you all enjoyed this tutorial, and you can download all the files which were required to create this scene, and also the finished .blend files from my site. And please subscribe and leave a comment, and thanks for watching.